1, 2, test. Test. This is mic 6.
the trademarks of the Ag Committee is we start on time. And so it's 9 o'clock. Thanks everyone for being here this morning. As we get started, I know that I'm from Texas, and we've got a bit of a ruckus going on down there right now that's of biblical proportions. Seen some photographs of some of our cotton guys had just harvested, had their modules in the field. The modules have been blown apart. They've got round bale modules standing in water. Just a wreck of biblical proportions. So I know that you join me and all of us with our prayers and thoughts going out to all those folks in Houston. I live in the dry part of the state. I've never been in a rising water flood, so I really don't have a good feel for it, but just the images, break your heart when you see the things that are going on. So we got some good Americans in trouble this morning, and we appreciate your prayer. With that, I've asked Mike Voss to open us with a prayer. Michael?
Thank you, Chairman. If you will, bow your head. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you so much for the opportunity that we have in this nation to come and meet like this, to discuss the issues that are before us. Lord, we ask that you guide us in this meeting, that you give us wisdom and direction. Lord, we thank you for this nation in which we live. We ask you to please put your protective hand on the people that are suffering with the floods in Texas and all the issues they're dealing with there. We thank you for the people that will go down and volunteer and help and work with each other to try to make things better. Lord, we ask you just put your protective hand upon them. Lord, guide us, that, as I said in this meeting, that what we do is right before you, right before the people. Lord, we thank you for all your many blessings, and we ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Michael. We now have Ryan Revitz, who is the FFA State Reporter, and Chase Clausen, FFA State Treasurer, who will lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance. Fellas?
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate that. I've now asked Dr. Chris Valdez, who's the president of Richland Community College, to join us this morning. Chris, your comments?
Thank you, Chairman Conaway. It is certainly our honor and my honor to welcome you, Chairman Conaway, and your distinguished colleagues to Richland Community College for this listening session. If I may just take one moment, I wanted to present to each of you as a token of our appreciation for what you do, not only for community colleges, but for the agriculture sector with a ball cap. I know you're going to get out to Farm Progress today, and you want that covered because it's going to be hot out there. Also, there's a pin that represents Richland Community College, and a pin that will get you into Farm Progress. We look forward to you coming in and seeing that show. I know, Chairman, that they say that everything's larger in Texas, but I'm going to tell you, you're going to see the largest show in the country at Farm Progress today, and that's a partnership between Richland Community College. It's a good indicator of how small rural serving community college can partner with someone who's as large as Inform and Farm Progress to present such a great show for this sector. Again, thank you all for coming. We welcome you, and we hope you have a great day.
Well, Chris, thank you very much. Well, Chris, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'd now like to recognize the ranking member of the committee, Colin Peterson, for comments and introduction. Colin?
Well, thank you, Mike, and welcome everybody to the fifth listening session that we've had. I'm Colin Peterson. I'm from western Minnesota. I represent from Canada and almost Iowa. We have the equivalent, I think, of your country in the south part of my district. It's all corn and soybeans, and you might have an argument about who does the best, but we have some good farmers. Up north, it's a little bit different, and so this year we got too much water in the south, and we're dry in the north. You know, it's a typical farming, but we'll survive. So I'm a CPA, and Mike is a CPA. It's the first time, I think, in the history of Congress that a committee has been led by two CPAs, so hopefully we'll get the numbers right. But you know. So anyway, I and my side of the aisle are committed to working with Mike and his compatriots on a bipartisan basis to get this bill done, to get it done sooner rather than later. I was chairman in when we did the 08 bill, this thing out of politics. We keep focused on what's right for rural America, what's right for agriculture, and we get this done. So looking forward to the hearing, and thank you.
Thanks, Alan. We'll now ask each member. We've got joined by 6 other members of Congress, so I've asked each of them to introduce themselves. I'll now go to the Vice Chair of the committee, G.T. Thompson. G.T.
Chairman, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you. Really appreciate the opportunity to be here and to listen, to hear from you in terms of agriculture, its impact on the rural economy. I'm from the Pennsylvania 5th Congressional District. There are 18 members from Congress. I serve a very rural area. I actually represent 24% of the land mass. Our number one commodity, agriculture is our number one industry. We do have some corn and soybean, but obviously just my ride in, not near what you have. Our number one commodity is dairy, but we do have some of the world's finest hardwoods, and just a real diverse agriculture there. The chairman has allowed me the privilege and honor to serve as vice chair of the full committee, and my other duties and responsibilities with the committee, I chair the subcommittee on nutrition, because after all, farmers feed and nutrition matters, and so just an honor and privilege to be here.
Rodney Davis, welcome to the 13th District of Illinois. Very glad to be able to host you here today, and my special thanks to Chairman Conaway and his team for allowing us to have this listening session at the Farm Progress Show. It kind of does double duty. We get a chance to show off what the Farm Progress Show means to Central Illinois and also to agriculture throughout the Midwest and throughout our country, but it also gives us a chance to hear from you. This is my 3rd listening session out of the 5, and this is an opportunity for us to sit back and understand what it means to be involved in agriculture and what policies that we face and that we put in place, what they mean to each and every one of you in your workplace, in your daily lives. And I really want to thank the members who came in today, the ranking member, my good friend Colin Peterson, GT, also my colleagues from here in the state of Illinois. And what this, I hope, shows each and every one of you is what we see every day on the House Ag Committee. There aren't Republican and Democrat solutions. There are just the right solutions and the wrong solutions. And we are a committee, and this is the team up here at these tables that consistently works together regardless of what party we belong to. Thanks for being here, and again, welcome to the 13th District.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sherry Bustos, and I represent the northwest part of the state of Illinois, the 17th District. 14 counties, 7,000 square miles. Ag is our biggest economic driver, not just for my congressional district or Mike Voss at the end or Darren LaHood's or Rodney Davis's. It's the number one it's the number one economic driver in the state of Illinois. So I just want to say welcome. I'm the granddaughter of a hog farmer, the niece of a dairy farmer, the cousin of an Angus farmer, and they all grow corn and beans. So I'm very glad to be here, and I couldn't word it any better than Congressman Davis did. This is a bipartisan committee. I think it is one of the best committees in all of Congress where we understand the need to work together. So thanks and welcome to everybody.
Thank you. My name is Mike Voss. I represent Illinois 12th. Illinois 12th is the most southern and western district in the state of Illinois. It is also the most diversified agricultural district. We have grain farming in the north. As you get down towards the Murfreesboro area, it rolls into the rolling hills where you have apple and peach orchards and grapevines. Also, then you go down along the river, we raise rice. And we heard rumors that cotton is coming back down in Alexander County. So it's very diverse as far as agriculture is concerned. I do want to say thank you for being here. Look forward to this listening session. And I do want to repeat what many have said. You got to understand our Ag Committee. It's not partisan. It's a group of people that understand the issue and want to work forward to make it better so that the people in our ag communities can work and provide for this great nation and the world. And look forward to hearing today.
My name is Darren LaHood, Congressman from the 18th Congressional District. Happy to be here today. I want to thank Chairman Conaway and the Agriculture Committee and Ranking Member Peterson for holding this hearing today. I want to thank all of you for being here today that cared enough to come here and let us hear from you about issues that affect you in agriculture. That's really what today is all about. So I want to thank you for that. I remind people every day, ag is the #1 industry in the state of Illinois. It's not anything up in Chicago, it's agriculture, and we need to remind folks of that. The district that we represent, the 19 counties in central and west central Illinois, very proud that we're the 9th largest district in the country in terms of corn and soybean production. I like to tell people I got some of the most fertile farmland in the entire world in our congressional district. As we head into next year with the Farm Bill, getting your feedback on those issues is vitally important. That's what today is all about. The other thing is, I've just been in Congress for less than 2 years, but when you go out to D.C., you realize there are less and less members of Congress that come from rural districts, less and less members of Congress that come from agriculture districts. So you find yourself educating members all the time on the importance of crop insurance, the importance of the RFS, the importance of good trade, the importance of rural broadband, lots of issues related to infrastructure. And so today, we want to hear from you on those issues and talk to the Agriculture Committee about the importance of agriculture, and today is all about that. So couldn't be prouder to be here today to have all of you and look forward to a great hearing. Thank you.
Well, again, thank my colleagues for joining me this morning for the listening session. Once again, thank the school, Richland Community College, and Dr. Valdez for all the hard work that his team did. He told me earlier that he didn't do much, but his team did a lot to set today's meeting up, and I appreciate all the work that went into setting this up. Dwayne Nolan will be our moderator this morning. Dwayne is the Chief Executive Officer of the Association of Illinois Electric Co-ops, and he'll lay the ground rules here in a few minutes for what we need to how we're going to conduct what's happening. I'm Mike Conaway. I represent the 11th Congressional District of Texas. I'm chairman of the Ag Committee, and District 11 is north and west of where the wreck's happening in the southeast part of Texas. So nothing directly affecting us. A lot of indirect effects with families and others that are having out there. They grow cotton, a little bit of grain sorghum, cattle, sheep, goats, a lot of hunting that represents the bulk of the ag industry that I get to represent, and dairy, a good deal of dairy as well. So good to be with you this morning. We don't need to tell you that the last 4 years have had 50% drop in net farm income, the worst 4-year drop since the Depression. Things are difficult in production agriculture, and so setting the new policy this time next year for the 18 Farm Bill is going to be important. With your input, we hope to get that done. None of us live in Washington, D.C. We all go there to work, but we need to hear from you. And one of the beauties of this listening session is that we get to hear from the folks most directly affected by the policies that we put in place, how they're working, how they're not working, could they be done better, and so we're excited about that. Just as an overall statement, you've got 2 minutes, don't waste any of it thanking us for coming, right? So we're just, right off the bat, we're thanked, all we need to be thanked. We're actually on your payroll, and so we're just doing our job. So don't waste any of your time thanking us. We got that. We know you're appreciative of it. Spend your time talking to us about what's the most important thing going on with respect to your particular piece of the agricultural system. I'm hopeful we'll have comments on all titles of the Farm Bill this morning: nutrition, Title I, crop insurance, Title II, conservation, rural development, trade, all of the titles. If you've got something to say to us, now's your opportunity to say that. And so we're excited about the opportunity to listen this morning. We're not going to say much beyond this point. We're here to listen to you. This is not a hearing where we ask you questions and we banter back and forth. This is just an opportunity for members of Congress to sit and listen to real farmers and ranchers and others involved in what we're trying to listen to this morning. So we're not going to say much from this point forward. That's by design, because we're going to listen to you from here forward. So Dwayne, the floor is yours.
Okay. Let's get it out of the way. Let's thank the committee for being here.
One other point. Let's be respectful of each other. There may be some differences of opinion, because we're going to try to hear from everybody. You signed in cards this morning, and we're going through those to make sure that all the various points of view are represented. But let's be respectful of each other. If you've got a difference of opinion, got that. Listen to each other. Let's don't do anything to get yourself on TV or whatever. That's just not the design for this morning to make that happen. So be respectful and listen. So Dwayne, thank you.
I appreciated Congressman Boss's prayer, and other states represented, we thank you, Mike, for not sharing that part. So what our goal is for you to give as many comments as possible. It's a listening session. They're going to listen. You're going to speak. If you'd like to speak, please fill out a card, hand it to a staff. We're going to get through as many as we can. And I've got a stack already, and they've been handed to me in the order they've come. So I thought possibly it was based on importance, but I've looked at it. It's based on looks. So the first ones we're calling are the best-looking ones here. So you can be the judge for that. You'll have 2 minutes. At 10 seconds, I will indicate you have 10 seconds, and I will call time. Please just finish your comment, finish your thought, and be respectful of the person behind you. What we'd like to do, we have 2 microphones, and we'd like to stage 2 at each mic, so we're not spending time waiting for you to come into the microphone. So that's our plan. This is being live streamed, courtesy of the college, so you can go to the House Committee's website, and you can watch the streaming of this later on. If you want to see yourself on air, you can watch that. We'll have an opportunity, if you have more comments you'd like to give or didn't give comments, you're welcome to go to, help me here, it's House Ag Listens at mail.house.gov. So with no further ado, I'd like to ask these 4 people to come to the mics, 2 and 2. So first, Rich Giebert and Phil Carson, Gary Sandrock, and Ken Mashoff. So if those 4 would please come forward. And it's always risky to do this, but I've seen some people I want to introduce. I saw the Director of the Department of Natural Resources, and that's Wayne Rosenthal. He's here. Good to see Wayne. Representative Sue Shears right here in the front row. And I saw State Senator Chapin Rose out in the lobby. And I know there's some other events. So if you're here, like you recognize, let staff know the view here is not real great. So, but I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for participating in America's Greatest Farm Show. With that, Rich, possibly the best-looking member here, because you're first. Rich Giebert, Illinois Farm Bureau.
I beg to differ, Mr. Nolan. But Chairman Conway, members of the committee, thank you for coming and being a part of Illinois. I just, on behalf of all of Illinois agriculture. And secondly, Chairman Conway, on behalf of Illinois farmers, ranchers, we extend our prayers and our thoughts to those in Texas, the residents, the farmers, the ranchers, Texas and Louisiana. Our hearts go out to you, and Godspeed to recover from this travesty. My name is Rich Giebert, Jr. I'm president of the Illinois Farm Bureau and a farmer from Randolph County, approximately 50 miles south of St. Louis, farming the river bottoms with my son Kyle. And I'd like to start by expressing Illinois' thoughts about the magnitude of the hurricane that you've just experienced. But our experience from significant rainfall this spring, we lost 400 acres of corn due to flooding. In addition, we had to plant an additional replant 120 acres of corn and 260 acres of soybeans. We Illinois farmers experienced a significant drought on our farm in 2012, and the statewide loss in Illinois was $3.5 billion. Fortunately, in both cases, we had crop insurance, which is an important part of the risk management tools in our toolbox. By offering crop insurance in this farm bill, farmers have a tool to manage risk that Mother Nature gives us. This also saves the government from requests to provide additional disaster relief each time a significant weather event impacts crop production around this great country. By law, the FCIC program is required to be actuarially sound. Their current program achieves this by insuring all sizes of farms, large and small. Insurance programs work best with high levels of participation, and when losses are spread across as many participants as possible to make this program more actuarially sound. We want to keep farmers in the crop insurance program, and we must avoid additional means testing, and because the means testing would reduce the pool and reduce the soundness of these programs. And thank you, Chairman Conway and the committee, for the opportunity to speak to you here this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. Would John Williams come to this microphone now? Next, we have Phil Carson, President of the Board, National Rural Electric Cooperative Association. Phil, welcome.
Yes, as Dwayne said, my name is Phil Carson. I serve serve as an electric cooperative board member here in Illinois. Mount Vernon is where my distribution co-op is, and also I'm Illinois' representative on the national board, and as such, I serve as its president as well. Electric co-ops across the country. There are 900 co-ops serving almost 43 million Americans, so we cut a swath across this country. We deliver electric power, we deliver other products and services, and we're also very keenly aware of the needs within our communities, very community sensitive. What I'd like to speak to today with regard to what we do, and is also included in the Farm Bill, is the RUS program is an extremely important tool for us. It's a tool that we use in order to maintain the grid that we currently have out there, and also to modernize the grid as it needs to be modernized. Very important tool for us. Second very important tool is the Red Leg program, Rural Economic Development Loan and Grant, and we're able to take those monies, whether in Illinois or across the United States, and put those back into our communities in really key ways. Hospitals are built, and other key essential infrastructure is put in place through those programs. Those two, if I'm just to be succinct, are extremely important to us. We thank you for the great way you've defended rural America over the years, and we know that you're going to continue to do that, and those are tools that really help us as we go about our work in serving in our communities. Thanks for this opportunity to speak to you.
Thank you, Phil. And would Troy Uphoff come to the far microphone? Next is Gary Sandrock with Independent Insurance Agents. Gary?
Chairman Conway, members of the committee, this is Greg Sandrock. Actually, I'm in a rural agency in the little town of Tampico in northwestern Illinois, which is the proud birthplace of Ronald Reagan. I chair the National Crop Insurance Task Force for the independent agents and brokers, representing about 25,000 rural agents, helping farmers deliver and service the crop insurance program. I basically have two items that I'd like to ask today. The first item, with farmers paying a significant portion of the premium on the crop insurance, and it's a very efficient and effective tool for protecting against losses and crop price drops, there is one risk that it struggles with, and that is long periods of sustained low prices, as it seems we are in right now. As you draft this next Farm Bill, I would encourage you to design commodity policy to be a target for long-term price risks so it complements crop insurance rather than competing with it. The second item that I would ask you to consider affects, for the most part, new entities, beginning farmers and ranchers, limited resource farmers, especially estates, widows, and widowers, and that's the link to conservation compliance. Make no mistake, conservation compliance is crucial to maintaining and sustaining the land for future generations. But this compliance link requires that an AD 1026 form be on file at FSA June 1st preceding the year that the premium discount or subsidy is eligible. So basically, we needed the paperwork filed by this last June 1st for the 2018 crop year. Several policies get penalized as these new entities are formed, unintentionally forgetting that June 1 is such a critical date. These farmers and ranchers pay the price of what I believe is a simple oversight, as dates do not align between crop insurance and FSA. My ask is to allow that 1026 form to be part of the application or the acreage report so that it aligns with the current crop year instead of conflicting with it, so that no one gets penalized. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Greg, thank you. Thank you for ensuring our farmers. Would Ron Moore please come to the microphone next? And now, Ken Mashaw, National Pork Producers. Ken, welcome.
Thank you. I won't thank you for being here. I will thank you for doing your jobs. And I know that I speak for everyone in this room. We're very proud of this committee, this particular group, and through the years, Sherry, I can see why you said this is a fun group to work with, and everybody wants to be on this committee. But I will tell you personally, and on behalf of America's pork producers, we thank all of you. I know most of you on the committee, and I know how hard, how serious you take this job, so I appreciate it. Today, I'm a pork producer from Illinois, and I think most of you know that our operations spread across the country. But today, I'm representing the National Pork Producers Council as its president, and it has just going to cut to it and get to the three critical areas, and so I'm never scripted, but Chairman, I'm going to mention those areas that the Council supports in the Farm Bill, the 2018 authorization of a potential funding for a foot and mouth disease bank that I know we've talked to all of you about before. Increase, Rodney, something that's very critical to you, increase funding in ag research across the board. It's something that's been over time, as you look comparatively to other sectors of the economy, we've lagged there. And then funding levels for maintaining market access through the Foreign Market Development Program, which is, as you all know, very, very critical to exports. On the FMD Bank, the reason I personally, the industry feels, and I think as we look at all of agriculture, I'm going to hit this up front so that Mr. Nolan, so that we don't get cut off here. I think the number that ISU has reported, as well as other groups, is that a cost of a foot and mouth disease outbreak within the agriculture sector would cost the U.S. beef, pork, corn, and soybean alone over a 10-year period over $200 billion. These are known numbers, and so what we are looking for within the 2018 Farm Bill is authorization to allow APHIS to move forward and establish a vaccine bank that would be adequately in place so that we could protect the beef and pork sectors in particular, along with the other sectors that would be protected. In doing so, I want to get those numbers out there first because...
And you have 15 seconds. Please.
Okay. Because these are the things that as we look at the U.S. economy, I think we all understand that it's not just agriculture at stake, and that it's much more broadly than that. It's the entire economy as a whole. So I appreciate that, and Rodney will keep going to bat for ag research as well. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Ken. For some reason, a bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich just sounds good right now. Would Ryan Reaverts come to the microphone? And there is more than one John Williams in the audience. This is John Williams from Enfield. John, please come forward.
Good morning. I'm John Williams. My son and I operate a third and fourth generation family farm in southeast Illinois where we raise sorghum, soybeans, corn, and wheat. In the 2018 Farm Bill, we need safety nets that provide predictability in this unstable agricultural economy. The price I get for my sorghum today is less than half of what it was during the last Farm Bill. For some commodities, ARC made sense during the last Farm Bill when we didn't think prices would fall as far or stay as low as they have. But in this current market environment, I think Title I of the Farm Bill should be focused on providing protection from the market collapsing like PLC does, and let crop insurance continue to cover my yield losses and one-year revenue declines. The only hope that we have for climbing out of this downturn in commodity prices is to sell more of our crops across the globe. This is why maintaining and even increasing funding for the Market Access Program and Foreign Market Development Program is so important. Burdensome regulations also continue to take toll on farmers and ranchers across the nation. In recent years, it seems that each time a product is approved by the EPA under FIFRA Act, it's challenged under the Endangered Species Act. We need Congress to provide clarity on how FIFRA and the Endangered Species Act apply pesticide restrictions, or I fear the lower acreage crops like sorghum will be left without the necessary tools to deal with the pest, disease, and weed challenges farmers face. John F. Kennedy once said, and I quote, "The farmer is the only man in our economy who buys everything at retail, sells everything at wholesale, and pays the freight both ways." End of quote. That is why we need a strong farm bill that is written for tough times we are currently in, and we need it to be reauthorized on time. I deal with enough uncertainty in my day-to-day businesses. The stability of a reliable safety net gives me the confidence and certainty that I need to survive to farm another year. Thank you all for what you're doing in Washington, in family farms like myself, and God bless you for all the work you do on our behalf and our country. Thank you.
Thank you, John. John, do you have a family member who was Director of Ag? Do you have a family member who was the State Director of Agriculture at one point? Same community, different Williams. Hood Williams was the Illinois Director of Agriculture years ago. So there you Chairman, you heard it here. All Williamsons are good folks.
It's hard to top that.
Would Richard Lyons please come to the mic next? And And with that is a dear friend and a good farmer, Troy Uphoff, Illinois Farm Bureau.
My comments today are in support of the crop insurance program. As a young man growing up in central Illinois, I grew up hearing about the drought years of 1936, 1940, 1954, 1988, and then as a farmer in 2012. As an organization and as all of us in agriculture, we understand that direct payments are now gone. But as crop insurance, we need that not only for agriculture, but we need it in support of our rural communities. So I want to leave you with 6 easy words to remember. Crop insurance, safety net, no changes. Thank you very much.
Outstanding. Thank you, Troy. Would Dave Jansen make his way to the microphone? Next, we have Ron Moore, American Soybean Association. Welcome, Ron.
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to be here today. And I'm excited that you're here in Central Illinois at the Farm Progress Show. Mentioned that I'm Ron Moore. I'm a farmer from Northwest Illinois, Roseville, and I'm currently serving as president of the American Soybean Association. So I understand many of you are going to.
Ron, let me stop you there. Please, everyone, get a little closer to the mic. We are live streaming, and we want good sound quality. So everybody, get close. Get right up to it, please. Thank you.
Did my 2 minutes start over again?
You can start over right now. Build it out.
It's all right. So I want to thank you, and Ron Moore from Western Illinois in the town of Roseville, currently serving as president of the American Soybean Association. And I'm excited that you're here because you're going to be touring some of the show this afternoon, some of you, and you're going to hear the same message, I think, that today in the afternoon that you're going to hear this morning about how tough the economic times are for agriculture. Prices are continuingly to be stubbornly low, and we're fearful of the relationships that we're jeopardizing when we talk about the foreign markets that we are so critical to the products that we raise. And as you process that feedback, please be reminded that the Farm Bill has the great potential to address some of those concerns. In tough economic times, we need a strong financial programs in the Title I program and also crop insurance. We need to have a robust trade title that not only supports our activities in the marketplace overseas, but also strengthens the foreign market development and the market access programs. We're going to need some more funding for agricultural research to help continue ag to develop the innovations that you're going to be seeing this afternoon on your tour. There's also a need for conservation programs that are progressive, that will encourage sustainable practices on our farms. And one aspect is that we need a strong farm bill from top to bottom. Every title needs to be strong. We all know that cutting the end of a rope at one end and tying the other end doesn't make a longer rope, and the same can be said for the farm bill. We don't want to go into the discussions of the farm bill knowing we're going to make some cuts. We want to make sure that the things that need to be addressed in the farm bill need to be addressed to make a strong farm bill, and not necessarily go in there thinking that you have to make cuts. There may be some areas of the farm bill that need to have more spending. We encourage you to work forward to looking at a farm bill that's the best that can be developed. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ron. Would Chip Bowling please come to the mic? And Ryan, thank you for your leadership at FFA. Please.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ryan Reverts. I'm from Byron, Illinois, and I'm the 5th generation farmer on our family's farm there. This year, I'm currently serving as the state FFA reporter for Illinois, where I represent over 17,500 FFA members across our state. Illinois FFA is also part of National FFA, which boasts of 649,355 FFA members from all 50 states, the Puerto Rico, and the United States Virgin Islands. Being the youngest of 5 kids in my family, I grew up watching my older siblings show livestock at the county fairs in my area. We raised purebred wool sheep at the time, and the summer before my freshman year, it was time for me to start my FFA project. I thoroughly described my aversion for sheep to my father, and he then gave me the permission to purchase pigs for my SAEs. I would show those at the county fairs and then bred those for my FFA project. Then, my sophomore year, I made the decision to expand my agriculture operation to produce grass and alfalfa hay to sell to local producers in my area, as well as 3 acres of sweet corn that I would sell to my local grocer and to farmers markets. If it wouldn't have been for my upbringing, I wouldn't have ignited my passion for production agriculture and my aspirations to pursue a career in the agricultural industry. But according to the National Institute of Food and Agriculture at the United States Department of Agriculture, an estimated 57,900 highly skilled jobs in the United States agriculture sector will open annually in the next 5 years. But there will be an estimated annual shortfall of 22,500 agriculture professionals to fill those jobs. Now more than ever, we need sound legislation that considers the future of agriculture as much as it considers our current needs for strong safety nets and nutrition programs. We need policy that encourages students to return to the farm or to pursue agriculture careers and support them in doing so. The next version of the Farm Bill can do that by heightening the profile of youth in food and agriculture and establishing an agriculture youth coordinator position within the Secretary of Agriculture's office to communicate areas where there's a match between the delivery needs of USDA and agriculture youth programs like National FFA. A person who can connect the dots for students like me who wish to pursue a career in agriculture.
Ryan, 10 seconds.
As the 115th Congress works to advance agriculture priorities and as your bodies work to reauthorize the Farm Bill, we hope that you continue to consider us the next generation of agriculture. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Would Jim Hires come forward? Richard Lyons, Illinois Association of Drainage Districts.
Yep.
Get close, Jim. Richard, please.
My name is Richard Lyons, and I'm a farmer from Montgomery County. And Representative Davis is my representative in Congress. We know each other well, and we work out the same way when he's home. But I'd like to welcome the 3 members that are not from Illinois to Illinois, and I really appreciate you taking an opportunity to listen to what we have. I represent the Illinois Association of Drainage Districts. One of the things that I think is important for all of us is that today I'm going to direct my comments basically to conservation on working lands. Previous farm bills have worked well to protect fragile lands under cultivation through the CRP and the CREP programs. Only CSP in the Midwest addressed the working lands and is limited to its size and scope with restrictive requirements for producers. As we address the nutrient loss reduction strategies of 45% reductions in nitrates and phosphorus across the 31 Midwestern and Great Plains states, we must address conservation to incentivize producers to adopt agricultural practices which reduce nutrients from leaving the land and moving into the watercourses that lead to the Gulf of Mexico. I am a member of the Working Policy Group for Nutrient Loss Reduction here in Illinois. I prefer a carrot rather than a stick approach to the incentives for conservation. A model that we may follow might well be that one that's used in the Chesapeake Bay. And I was in the Chesapeake Bay for a week touring 3 different states about 16 months ago. And it's their program on cover crops and also nutrient management that should be added to within the farm program. Nutrient management and cover crops on every acre across the Mississippi River Basin would drastically reduce the hypoxia problem in the Gulf of Mexico. Every farmer I talk with wants the 2018 Farm Bill to retain the present coverage for federal crop insurance. Increasing the subsidy to the individual farmer crop insurance coverage for his voluntary practices of cover crops and nutrient management on every acre should and would provide the carrot for their working lands preservation. I presently have a nutrient management plan on every acre on my farm. I use cover crops on every acre of my farm. I started with an EQIP program 4 years ago with just 40 acres of each. But over time, I find that the cover crops make the difference, and they will keep the nitrates and the phosphorus out of our tile lines and out of the water. Thank you very much for coming and allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Richard. Would Jonathan Coppice of the University of Illinois please come forward? Next, Dave Jansen. Dave?
Hello, Chairman Conway and members of the committee. My name is Dave Jansen. I'm the owner of Strategic Farm Marketing in Champaign, Illinois, and in Congressman Davis's district. I'm a crop insurance agent, and we write insurance in 11 Midwestern states. With these low prices and high input costs, farmers are struggling to make a living. Lending regulations have become tighter since 2008, making crop insurance a critical component to getting an operating loan. Last year, I had several farmers choose the highest level of crop insurance solely because their lender would provide the most operating money. Personally, one of my clients was required to sell 1,000 acres of land before he could get his operating note renewed. The thing I hear over and over from my producers is, do no harm to crop insurance, and affordability is the key. I'd also like to speak on the harvest price option of the RP policy. There's been some talk of eliminating this feature or not subsidizing it as much. This component is critical because it provides replacement cost insurance for my livestock farmers. When crops are poor, they need to buy feed for their animals, and prices are quite often much higher than historical prices. For the grain farmer, it allows them to forward contract when prices are profitable without the fear of overselling your crop. As a matter of fact, in 7 of the past 10 years, the corn market has fallen from the spring to the fall. Products like whole farm insurance are gaining traction as farmers near the fringes of the Corn Belt seek more cost-efficient ways to provide higher coverage. And lastly, I'd like to address loan rates. My farmers would like to see a higher loan rate for corn, soybeans, and wheat, and to keep the cost of the program reasonable, one might consider a higher loan rate, but not necessarily a higher default rate or an LDP rate. They need access to capital, but not necessarily a bigger LDP. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Would Heather Hampton please come forward? Next is Chip Bowling. Chip's here from Maryland, National Corn Grower Association.
I am.
Chip.
Good morning. I'm Chip Bowling. I farm in Newburgh, Maryland, which is about 45 miles south of Washington, D.C., in the Chesapeake Bay watershed. I'm chairman of National Corn Growers, and I'm here to represent our 300,000 checkoff members. By now, you know all too well the impacts of the declining commodity prices for corn farmers. Average prices have fallen from $6.22 a bushel in 2011 to $3.30 today. Without the Agricultural Risk Coverage County program to help offset the sharp fall in income, we will be facing more severe financial stress. NCJ believes the ARC County can be modified to remain an effective risk management option during weak prices, even more critical in maintaining sound, affordable federal crop insurance, which softens the blow when significant crop losses occur. These tools, along with more investment in the market access and the foreign market development programs, are essential as we work to build demand and increase exports, a more robust livestock sector, and an expanding ethanol market. The next Farm Bill should include emphasizing voluntary working lands and conservation programs. We're well aware of the budgetary restraints, but there is no question we must maintain adequate funding for conservation programs. These programs must be environmentally sound, based on sound science, and performance-driven. We ask you to consider our top policy objectives in Title II. Conservation Reserve Program enrollment targeted to the most environmentally affected areas. Supporting the Conservation Stewardship Program to enhance conservation efforts on working lands, and support the EQIP program, the Environmental Quality Incentive Program, on a cost-share basis for environmental conservation practices. Again, thank you for traveling to Illinois and listening to us, the nation's farmers. Thank you.
Chip, I'm confused about your email address. You're the National Corn Growers Chairman, but your email address is Tobacco Man.
My family raised tobacco for generations in Southern Maryland, and I'm proud to be Tobacco Man 5.
Was Corn Man already? Corn Man was already taken? You couldn't get Corn Man?
I'm Corn Man for now, but I'll go back to Tobacco Man shortly.
Chip, thank you. Will Jill Appel from the Pork Producers please come forward? Next is Jim Hierst, Eastern Illinois Food Bank CEO. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Jim Hires, the CEO of the Eastern Illinois Food Bank and a member of the Feed America network of food banks around the country. There are 200 food banks like ours across the United States. There are 8 of those food banks in the state of Illinois. TFAP, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, has become a strong and very important purpose of TFAP is that it often becomes the primary source of smaller rural food banks across the country, and particularly in Illinois. And the staple foundation needs to be maintained at the level that you have provided the last several years. The last Farm Bill was a great opportunity for us to show the public-private partnership that can exist to work on the problem of food insecurity. Obviously, the commodities are the linchpin of the program, but just as important are the funds needed for the storage and distribution of the food that we secure through this program. Oftentimes, food banks are forced to look for other funds because those funds provided in the program fall short of the actual costs for storing and distributing the food. Therefore, we are seeking and asking that as you develop the next Farm Bill and with the current Farm Bill, to make sure that those funds that you have set aside in that bill are actually appropriated and available to the food banks across the country. As I've told Congressman Davis on many times, we really appreciate the partnership that we have with the Department of Agriculture and the fact that this is truly a private-public partnership. So attention to that would be greatly appreciated by the 200 food banks in the United States.
Thank you, Jim. Would John Reefsteck please come forward with Growmark? Next is Jonathan, did I pronounce your last name right? Is it Kappas?
Kappas, yes, that's correct. Chairman Conaway, Ranking Member Peterson, members of the committee. I'm Jonathan Kappas of the University of Illinois College of Aces, the Garden Agricultural Policy Program, and the Farm Doc Project. Dr. Merchant is going to talk a little bit more about basic research and issues in the college. Jennifer's going to talk about some extension and SNAP Ed. I want to focus a little bit more on the applied research, extension, and outreach, the investment and innovation there, with a couple examples of what we're doing and how we can look forward to improving our extension and outreach. Farm Doc, of course, has worked on the decision support tools for farm programs, and we're looking to build out from that to look at comprehensive risk management and research, to look at things beyond just price and yield, but financial risk, conservation risk, and even some of the trade and export risks we see today. We also have an incredible resource on the University of Illinois in supercomputing capacity and data management, and we're looking at how we can apply that with precision agriculture and farm business management to conservation needs through the Regional Conservation Partnership Program in partnership with Illinois Corn and many others. We also have a data-intensive farm management, helping design field trials and get information out to farmers to help use technology to help them improve their nutrient management, all of which obviously is to further our goals under the Illinois Nutrient Loss Reduction Strategy. And so we look forward to encouraging additional investment, additional innovation in extension and outreach and research. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. And would Chad Schultz please come forward? For the committee's benefit, our next speaker's father, Joe Hampton, was a former Illinois Director of Agriculture. Heather, welcome.
Thank you. Heather Hampton Nodal, and we farm about 1 hour south of here. We raise corn, soybeans, Angus cattle, and 4 children under the age of 15. All right. So as a mom of 4, I realized that everything is negotiable. And we start out as American Agri-Women. I've also chaired our Farm Bill Task Force this year. We have some recommendations we'll provide to the Ag Committee, as well as the comments here. Several innovative ideas on that. But first and foremost, crop insurance, critical tool for risk management, not only for farmers and rural communities, but also for the government. Let's really emphasize how much money has been saved in disaster payments alone. When I say everything's negotiable, we in American Agri-Women would say we value the conservation programs that are on the land or in place. We value the decades of trust that has been developed with the Natural Resources Conservation Service as a technical advisor. However, in this era of level funding or less funding, everything is negotiable, and it's time to decouple conservation compliance from crop insurance. Crop insurance is a business tool for risk management. Conservation agreements are separate agreements that have been entered into where we say, okay, government, you want to help pay us for this specific practice? We're going to put it in place, and we commit and we pledge to doing that. We should not place NRCS in an adversarial role. We need to keep them as our trusted advisor and technical resource. Other comments, just to highlight, again, we have several innovative ideas related to nutrition and wellness programming and things like that, but funding for foot and mouth disease vaccine bank is critical not only for our food supply, but also the welfare of millions of animals. Where can the funding come from? Possibly an offset from the organic program. about priorities. Is it existing food supply, or is it telling people that one production practice is better than another? How do we want to spend our dollars? Third, and probably foremost in my mind as a rural economic development advocate, is to give, and Rodney's going to say, there's no money for this, Heather. I know. But yes, there is. Give rural America a fighting chance for 21st century telecommunications. There are opportunities in this 2018 Farm Bill to redesign some of the eligibility requirements under existing USDA grant and loan programs. And there is also a very real opportunity right now for the House Agriculture Committee to weigh in on the Federal Communication Commission's redesign of the Connect America Fund. We can have input on their technical design requirements, and I think now's the time to say, what better agency than the USDA to actually administer that program?
10 seconds.
USDA has feet on the ground, relationships in place, and a unique understanding of our geographic and economic landscape. Thank you.
I'm sorry, did you finish your comment?
I did. I think we need USDA to be administering that because they understand our unique rural landscape that varies widely across the country. So thank you for the chance to plant some seeds. We hope they grow in the 2018 Farm Bill.
Thank you, Heather. Would Linda Carlton Huber come forward? And Jill Appel, National Pork Producers. Jill, welcome.
Thank you. I am Jill Appel. I'm a farmer from Altona, Illinois, and I would like to welcome you to this beautiful, unusually nice August day in Illinois. I am the past president of the Illinois Pork Producers Association and also the National Pork Producers Council. And I would like to echo a couple of the comments about the funding for FMD vaccine bank. I understand that it's very costly. However, if we do get an FMD outbreak, it is going to be devastating unless we can prevent it and we can, or if we get one, if we can quickly eliminate it. Otherwise, anything else in the Farm Bill for the pork industry and for other parts of agriculture, it's not going to be useful at all. That said, there are a lot of other important programs for farmers that need to be continued, such as conservation, exports, and research. As a crop farmer, I support existing programs that help me protect and improve natural resources on my farm. I hope that conservation funding will be continued at the current level. I would also like to see funding levels maintained for the Market Access Program and for the Foreign Market Development Programs, both of which support U.S. exports and are vital to the U.S. pork industry. To ensure that the U.S. livestock industry maintains a competitive global marketplace, we need to have funding for agricultural research. We have fallen behind our competitor countries when it comes to research, and that will be critically needed for developing ways to feed the world when, if predictions are right, the population grows by 30% within the next 30 years. Pork producers in all of U.S. agriculture need a Farm Bill policy and programs that support farmers and that enhances their ability to continue producing safe food, especially delicious pork, for consumers worldwide. The bottom line is that we need a Farm Bill that maintains, or better yet, strengthens U.S. agriculture and the U.S. pork industry's competitive advantage globally. Thank you.
Thank you, Jill. Would Jared Hooker please come forward? And next from Champaign County, Farmer Extraordinary John Reefsteck. John?
Well, thank you, Dwayne. As a farmer and a member of a cooperative, we know how important this legislation is, not just to farmers, but to our rural communities. Our industry relies on risk management programs to help farmers weather these times of challenging commodity prices. We believe that a market-oriented risk management program that works with crop insurance and are consistent between counties in the same area should be a priority. Ongoing conservation programs should be flexible to fund projects that utilize innovative technologies that help farmers protect water quality, reduce greenhouse emissions, and at the same time help our farmers feed an increasing world population. One of the sad consequences of low commodity prices is the distress and sometimes the devastation that is inflicted on our next generation of farmers. Our future lies with the young people that are so engaged in agriculture. We need to continue and strengthen programs that help them sustain and to build their farms and their families. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you for your leadership at the Grow Mark. Boyd Shuffleberger, please come forward. Chad Schultz. Chad, good morning.
Good morning. I'm Chad Schutz. I'm a grain and livestock farmer. Our family farms on the western part of Rodney's district. What I wanted to stress this morning was the importance of the conservation title in this, in particular the EQIP program. Over the years, our family has been able to utilize the cost shares in the EQIP program to install dry dams, tile lines, and better utilize or better use those resources that we have on our land and conserve our soil. Over the years, we've been able to transition from the way Grandpa used to farm, where you go work in ditches, to what we do now is 100% no-till. That's really been a game changer for how we farm and how we take care of our land. The second part of the EQIP program that we've been able to utilize greatly has been through the comprehensive nutrient management plan. We've always thought we've done a really good job of how we handle our livestock manure and apply fertilizer. But whenever you go back and you go through that plan, it helps you document that, and then you're able to show other people that you are actually doing a really good job. And so that program has worked well. And I think as we're looking down the road at the nutrient loss reduction strategy here in the state of Illinois, the more people that can show that we are doing a really good job, it just gives the farmer the higher ground. So with that, thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you, Chad. Would Matt Kotar come forward? And Linda Carlton Huber with the Big I. Linda, good morning.
Good morning. I'm Linda Carlton Huber. I'm a member of the Big I and the Independent Insurance Agents. I'm in Rodney's district. My husband farms, and I own CF&H Insurance. I've been a partner in farming insurance since the 1990s. During that time, I've seen all types of weather, and conditions seem to be becoming more and more volatile. Just this past spring, we replanted 1,000 acres, more than the last 39 years added together of our farming career. Agriculture plays an integral role in our economy. If the farmer struggles, so does every town in Illinois. Crop insurance has made farmers a better businessman. There's not the major swings in both the up and down of income and losses. I'm here today to provide the association's position on federal crop in the upcoming Farm Bill. The Big I strongly supports the crop program and urges Congress to reject any attempt to cut or cap the budget for the 2018 Farm Bill. We are also working to ensure that the private sector remains the primary distribution force for the crop program. We oppose legislation at the federal level of the AFFIRM Act. Changing the risk pool and reducing participation from any group of farmers will change the premium for all farmers, and enacting that legislation will have a negative impact on farmers across our country. Second, I would like to ask Congress to oppose any measure to discourage farmers to buy at an adequate coverage level. Providing premium assistance to farmers of all shapes and sizes also encourages the expansion of coverage options so the insurance works well for growers from green beans to soybeans. Capping insurance discounts or even excluding farms altogether carries unintended consequences for farmers across our country. By removing your most established farmers and all those acres associated with those farms, you're doing the same thing as excluding the healthy people from the health insurance. Crop insurance works well because it's a tool available to farmers of all sizes in all geographical areas. I strongly believe in crop insurance program as the farmer's strongest safety net. Crop insurance programs allows the farmers to assume the risk by continuing to promote large production of crops and livestock to provide the food supply that is needed for our growing country.
10 seconds.
Thank you for your time today and for coming to Illinois. Perfect.
being a dairy farmer, we transitioned out of that last winter, and part of the reason for that is that our daughter, who was part of the dairy operation, married a young dairy farmer from eastern Pennsylvania, and I'm not sure that he's in Congressman Thompson's district, but that's caused a transition, and I've become a lot more familiar with Pennsylvania because of that. The Holstein Association represents 15,000 adult members across the country, 9,000 junior members, which we consider to be the future of the dairy industry, and the Holstein cow produces 85% of the milk that is consumed in America. And just a few areas that I want to address, or that I would hope would be addressed in the coming farm bill, is immigration, the labor issues that are probably at the forefront of dairy farmers across the country, and then the regulation as far as hiring dairy workers. We just dealt with the issue of the part-time worker having only 30 hours a week, and that really provides some complications for dairy operations. Also, trade is a big thing, and trade wasn't known to be a part of the dairy industry a few years ago, but 15% of the product is exported now, so it's important that we work out the trade issues with our neighbors to the north and to the south. And then as far as pricing, the MPP program really hasn't worked that well for dairy farmers. I think there needs to be some modifications to that, both in how the milk price is determined, that would reflect the hauling charges that the farmer has to pay for, and then also that feed price is adequately reflected in that formula as far as the margin. And then just this week I was in a grocery store and saw in the dairy case a carton of almond milk, and after milking animals for 40 years, I've never been able to milk an almond. So I think it's really, with that kind of understood, that I think labeling is an issue there, and so we'd hope you address that. Thank you very much, and we look forward to working with you in the future.
Boyd, thank you for that one. We'll remember that, won't we? Would Dr. David Kopsel please come forward? And next is Matt Kotar, Feeding Illinois.
Matt, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Jared Hooker.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jared.
Well,
I'm sorry. I apologize, Jared. I skipped
That's
you.
fine.
Jared Hooker.
Yes, sir.
From DeWitt County.
Yes, sir. I farm just 25 miles due north. I've been there since 1875, and that's where I'm going to stay. All right? I've hauled my last hog, by the way. I'm here from the Illinois Soybean Association. I'm the treasurer, and I represent 43,000 soybean farmers in Illinois. So my comments, and I sign the witness slip with respect to conservation and research and crop insurance, and I brought a couple copies of my statement, and I'd like for it to be part of the record, Mr. Chairman. And I'm going to associate my remarks with what's already been made by Ron Moore, the American Association Soybean President. And my comment here, we need you. I'm pleased and privileged and proud to be a constituent of Mr. Davis. Very, very, I'm getting goosebumps just saying it. Which I don't mind, okay? Because that comes from here. Oh yeah, I guess it is. We need your energy collectively. We need your talents. We need your leadership. And I'd just like for you guys to just take care of one another, all right?
Thank you, Jared. I served in the state legislature with Mike Bost. He gave me goosebumps, too. But it was for a different reason. Would John Linville please come forward? Matt with Feeding Illinois.
Thank you. My name is Matt Coder. I'm the Executive Director of Feeding Illinois, the network of food banks that serve every county, every 102 counties of the state. We have a big job. Our food banks are actively at it. Last year they distributed more than 200 million meals to those folks in need around Illinois. And I'm here to tell you that's a lot of work. It's not enough. We're trying hard. We have some of the best donors also makes a difference in that community, that food's available. So please consider actively funding that. We'd appreciate similar levels. I know it's a challenge, but I really appreciate your effort. The other issue is TANF, terrific program for our food banks. Really great diversity of product, and as Jim Hires mentioned earlier, anything we can do to get those allocations at the level that you intend would be really, really appreciated. To walk into food banks and see, dried cherries and walnuts and, a lot of things that are really dollar-wise out of the hands of a lot of our lower income folks who come to food banks, it really makes a big difference to see those sorts of commodities come across. So thank you all very much for your time today.
Matt, thank you. Would Susan Donovan with the Nature Conservancy come forward? Next is John Cowpert, National Corn Ethanol Research Center. If you find John, we'll come back to him. Dr. David Kopsel. David, I have to ask you this question. My sister Diane is a horticulture professor at University of Illinois, and she has a show called Mid-America Gardener. Oh, yeah. Do you watch it every week?
Not every week, but I know what they're talking about.
You know who she is? Yes,
I do. Yes.
Good, good.
Yes, yes. It's a great
Thank
program.
you. My mother will be very proud to know that.
Yes.
I'll tell my mother.
Thank you. My name is Dave Kopsel, and I'm a professor of horticulture at Illinois State University in Normal, Illinois. And at Illinois State University, we're a regional, non-land grant university specializing in applied research and student education. This spring, on May 17th, I was a member of a delegation from the American Society of Horticultural Science that lobbied Congress on behalf of the benefits of specialty crop research funding. Our talking points were as followed. Specialty crops make up half of the crop value in the U.S. annually. The current USDA ChooseMyPlate.gov dietary recommendations call for half of our plates to be fruit and vegetables, and those are specialty crops. Specialty crops provide regional and economic development as high-value enterprises for rural communities. For every $1 invested in publicly funded agricultural and food research, $20 in economic activity is generated. Specialty crop exports earn the U.S. $20 billion per year from abroad. Specialty crop research funding is essential to ensure the future improvements in specialty crop production to provide national food security, ensure economic sustainability and opportunities for both rural and urban communities, sustain a growing rural population, and also adapt to a changing environment. So on behalf of myself and the American Society for Horticultural Science and the specialty crop growers who are in the audience today and around the country, we would like to endorse the inclusion in the 2018 Farm Bill of the following programs: the Specialty Crop Research Initiative, the Organic Research and Education Initiative, the Agricultural and Food Research Initiative, and specialty crop block grants for the states. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Professor Kopsel. Would Lynn Grisine please come forward? Next is John Linville with Linville Farms, Beeman, Illinois.
Yes, my name is John Linville, and our family farm is 16 miles due east of here in Piatt County in Rodney's district. And I first want to note the people that we come in contact with daily from USDA, those in FSA and those in soil conservation. You have excellent people, and they are doing a good job, and so I thank you for them. My main point is, as you've heard from a lot of people, crop insurance is working. Don't screw it up. And if you look at, and say like 83 or 88, what it costs the U.S. government to cover the droughts then versus 2012 when it was budgeted and was a serious problem, it worked much better. So don't mess up something that's working. Who knows what Harvey's going to cost? And this way, this program works good for you and it works good for us. So don't screw it up. The second thing I would say is we farm in Piatt County. We have never had an ARC County payment. All the counties around us have. The Lord has blessed us with excellent yields. But I would make a suggestion that you look at the crop insurance yields instead of NAS for what the yields in the county are. You already have the data, and I think it would be much more accurate than the estimates that are coming through. Now, Piatt County still may not have had a payment, but I think it would improve the program. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
name is Susan Donovan. I'm here on behalf of the Nature Conservancy in Illinois, and we look forward to working with you in the reauthorization of the Farm Bill and the process. The Farm Bill is the most important legislation for conserving private lands in the United States, and it provides farmers with the tools necessary to protect and conserve their land and their way of life. The Nature Conservancy is very active in sharing our best practices with the agriculture community, and our priorities include nutrient management and soil health. In the 2018 Farm Bill, we would like you to consider the following priorities to incentivize sustainable agricultural practices and remove unnecessary barriers to farmers trying to utilize these benefits to their operations. Increase the funding in the conservation title, which currently is about 6%, and to avoid further cuts in the research title. To fund nutrient management plants in the Environmental Quality Incentives Program, known as EQIP, with the goal at 5 million acres enrolled annually under nutrient and soil health management plans, and geographically targeting those that have the greatest nutrient delivery to the hypoxia zones. Improve easement programs. The agricultural lands easement program and the wetlands reserve easement program, and specifically to at least 500 million a year, and creating incentives for producers to adopt soil health practices. Thank you very much for your consideration of our recommendations and for being here today.
Thank you, Susan. Would Representative Sue Shear come forward? And as a father, you can only do so much to encourage your kids to get active. And so I told my son he should really think about it. He's farming full time. You got to get involved in a farm group. And so he looked at me like, right, Dad. And then one day he tells me that Leon Krazine had called him from Assumption, asking if he ought to get involved in the Illinois corn growers, and he thought that was a good idea. And so, Lynn, thank you for mentoring my son, who's now on the Corn Growers Board. Lynn, a former National Corn Growers president. Welcome.
Thank you for that, and good morning. Yeah, I was very pleased to be able to be part of that because I farm in Christian County, which is in Rodney Davis's district. I help my son Craig and my wife Susie on the farm, so I'm fifth generation and Craig's the sixth, and so we talk a lot about the future, and I'd like to speak a moment about two of the most important things when we look to the future and look at our young folks and the next generation in farming. The first one is crop insurance, and the second one is research. We have a very close story that happened Monday on our farm, actually hit half of my son's acres. We had a severe hailstorm go through, and over half of his corn was hit. Going to have about a 30% loss in that corn, and there's only one thing that's going to help him really be able to continue and go on in the future, because Dad's kind of limited in what he can do, and that is crop insurance. If you take a look at the commodity title and the good things that we put together with ARC, it's still county, it's not going to help. It's crop
cost share program, which I'm sure you all know is just a drop in the bucket compared to all the funding that goes towards conventional agriculture. It ought to be expanded and not diverted back towards conventional agriculture. My name is Yoram Shanan. I own and operate an organic vegetable and livestock farm in Grays Lake. I'm here today with the Illinois Stewardship Alliance and as a director of a local chapter of the National Young Farmers Coalition. We would like you to know that the 2018 Farm Bill must invest in beginning farmers for the next generation of agriculture. Beginning farmers face many barriers to getting into the field, one being inadequate access to training. The Beginning Farmer and Rancher Development Program, or the BFRDP, is the only federal program exclusively dedicated to training the next generation of farmers and ranchers. The BFRDP funding has been used to develop incubator farm programs, such as the one I've been fortunate enough to take part in the last 3 years, and has allowed me to start my farm business. It also provides business planning and food safety training services and is one of the most successful programs to date, helping to grow the next generation of American farmers. When Congress failed to pass a bill in 2012, the program did not receive funding in the next year. To avoid such shortfalls and uncertainty in the future, we urge you to increase mandatory baseline funding to $50 million per year. We also ask that you prioritize small and beginning farmers in key federal programs. Recent farm bills have included special participation incentives for beginning farmers in EQIP and other conservation programs. However, small-scale farmers, which include many young farmers, are often at a competitive disadvantage with larger operations for program funds and NRCF staff resources, and I can tell you that from my own personal experience. The success of the FSA microloan program indicates that scaling down programs and reducing paperwork can significantly improve young farmer access. Congress should replicate this success by establishing a national pilot initiative within EQIP initiative to target small-scale farmers with funding for the program set aside through existing EQIP funds. If you'd like to learn more, I encourage you to contact the National Young Farmers Association, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Would Rebecca Osland please come forward? And next is our local state representative, Sue Shearer.
Thank you. I'm the representative here for the 96th District, and I'm also the vice chairman of the Ag Committee for Illinois. So something that I wanted to make you aware of is a serious concern that we have on our Ag Committee here in Illinois, and that is the struggle that we have trying to find enough agriculture teachers. Last year we had 80 openings and only 20 qualified agriculture teachers in Illinois coming from our state universities. So with agriculture being our #1 driver for our economy, and then this shortage of agriculture teachers, it really concerns me when I think of the young man that spoke here from the FFA, and if they don't have the teachers, the classes aren't going to make, and then, you know, we're just not taking care of our future the way we need to. So I've also heard a lot of concerns about the vaccinations for the hoof and mouth. So those are really the two concerns that I've heard the greatest sitting on the Ag Committee. And I most appreciate everything you guys do. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sue, for being here. Would Brad Pastrovich please come forward with Ducks Unlimited? And next is Gary Niemeyer.
Good morning. My name is Gary Niemeyer. I'm currently chairman of the Inland Waterway Trust Fund. I'd like to take credit for that, but the Waterways Council. As you're well aware, the Inland Waterway Transportation System is vital to our Illinois farmers, providing the most effective option to send our products to both the domestic and export markets. As world demand grows for corn, soybeans, and wheat, we need a dependable transportation system, and our waterways need recapitalization. There are currently 25 projects authorized by Congress and ready for construction. We need your help and leadership to obtain a portion of the President's infrastructure initiative to get these projects under construction. And as
also chairman of the Litchfield chapter of Illinois Ducks Unlimited. I'm happy to speak on the behalf of the 34,000 plus members of our state and more than 1 million supporters and members nationwide. Conservation is in great demand today, and conservation programs are vital assets to farmers and ranchers. These programs allow us to maximize efficiency and productivity while protecting our soil health and water quality and wildlife habitat. Programs like EQIP and CSP are such tools. And the Conservation Reserve Program is another program that greatly benefits both landowner and wildlife. Ducks Unlimited supports strong wetland and grassland protection for the benefits of soil and water conservation and fish and wildlife habitat. We also support an improved CRP program with expanded managed grazing opportunities, not only to improve habitat, but to allow emergency haying and grazing during times of drought, like now in Dakotas and Montana. The Agriculture Conservation Easement Program is a nationally popular program where demand by those who voluntarily seek to protect their land through conservation easements and wetland easements far exceed the program supply. And the Regional Conservation Partnership Program is yet another important and innovative conservation tool that incentivizes partnerships and brings private dollars to the table. As a farmer and supporter of conservation, I can tell you that farming and conservation go hand in hand, and Ducks Unlimited looks forward to working with you all on the next Farm Bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. Would Ashley Rube please come forward, the St. Louis Area Food Bank. Next, Mark Ayers, Humane Society.
Hi, Mark Ayers. I'm the Illinois State Director for the Humane Society of the United States, and actually a constituent of you, Representative LaHood. I'm here today to ask that you include animal welfare reforms in the 2018 Farm Bill currently under review. The completed farm bills in the past years have all included animal welfare provisions, and with animal welfare gaining such traction with every sector of the American public, the Agriculture Committee could be doing more on this topic. And I want to talk with you today just briefly about one of those bills, which is actually current in the House Ag Committee, the Pet and Women Safety Act, or H.R. 909. This bill has 231 House co-sponsors. It protects battered partners and their pets by extending current federal domestic violence protections to include pets, and authorizes a small amount of grant money to help domestic violence shelters accommodate pets or arrange for shelter. This bill authorizes a very modest funding of just $3 million per year to deal with a real and acute problem. This bill is currently assigned to the House Ag Committee, and I know that Representative Davis and Representative Bustos are both co-sponsors of that legislation. It's our hope that this bill gets called as a standalone bill on the floor for a vote. If it does not get called for whatever reason, I hope that that bill could be included in negotiations for the 2018 Farm Bill.
Thank you, Mark. Would Steve Starwalt come forward? Next is from the fine Williams family, John Williams.
Good morning. My name is John Williams. I'm the other John Williams in the crowd. I currently live and work in Representative LaHood's district. We sell much of our produce to Representative Davis's district, and I am a Knox College grad, so I'm well familiar with your district as well. I do have a goal to one day farm my family's land in Ford County as well, but today I'm here to impart to you guys the importance that the 2018 Farm Bill invests in the future of our farm economy by continuing to invest in a vital part, beginning farmers. As you know, the average American farmer continues to get older as the bars to enter farming, the farming profession continually raised for many who want to begin to feed their community with healthy and fresh fruits and vegetables. With the price of equipment and land always on an upward trend, it will continually be difficult for farmers to begin their own farming operation to help build local food systems. Most beginning farmers are not as fortunate as me to have family farmland, but even with this great advantage, I'm still stuck waiting to see how this Farm Bill and the current USDA is going to change programs for small and beginning farmers such as myself. Without the Farm Bill's support for young farmers through programs such as EQIP or other beginning farmer loan programs and the Beginning Farmer and Rancher Development Program, we will continue to erode our
26 counties across Missouri and Illinois. We're a member food bank of Feeding America, and we're privileged to work with 500 local agencies across our service territory that put life-changing resources into the hands of our neighbors in need. With their help, we distributed over 42 million pounds of food last year to 392,000 individuals, including senior citizens, veterans, working parents, and our single largest food insecure population, children. And their need persists. During the food bank's first year of operation in 1975, we distributed roughly 160,000 pounds of food, and we now move that much every day. We've grown to better address the need in our communities, but with 1 in 6 people in our region facing hunger, we can't meet the need that exists on our own. On a personal note, my church in St. Louis operates a food pantry that partners with the food bank. At every Sunday service during the prayer requests of the pantry guests are shared aloud, and they pray for better health, for stable work, for their families. They pray for our elected officials, and they offer thanksgiving for things like upcoming job interviews and good health and more. The people we serve are struggling to put food on the table, but once that need is met, they can focus on all of the other parts of life they need to thrive, like steady employment and health and even civic engagement. Those of us here today, from farmers to food bankers to members of this committee, we know that food is where it all starts. Meeting this most basic need makes so much more possible, and food makes the difference. And thanks to the partnership of the federal government, those of us at the food bank make a bigger difference in our region. Nearly 20% of the foods we distribute are provided through the Emergency Food Assistance Program, and all told, federal nutrition programs provide over a quarter of all the food that goes out of our warehouse, and these are among the most nutritious we're able to offer. The nutrition programs contained in the Farm Bill, from TFAP to SNAP, are vital in every sense of the word. They mean food on people's tables, which means fuel for good work and healthier lives. Now, there's still need in Missouri and Illinois we cannot meet, but together, with a strong Farm Bill, fully funded nutrition programs, and conscientious policies, we can meet that need.
10 seconds.
So I ask, on behalf of my colleagues at the food bank, our community partners, and the families we serve, please thoughtfully consider how this upcoming Farm Bill can preserve and bolster our commitment to eliminating hunger in this country. Thank you for your partnership. We're eager to collaborate with you for the good of all of our communities.
Thank you, Ashley. Would Timothy Birch, professional surveyors, come forward? Steve Steyerwalt. Morning, Steve.
Hello. My name is Steve Steyerwalt. I am a farmer from Champaign County, Sonoras, Illinois, and I serve now as the the president of the State Association of Soil and Water Conservation Districts. So I wanted to talk to you about resources for NRCS, both people and programs. We've heard a lot of talk about programs, but obviously without the people to implement those programs, they don't happen. So across the states, soil and water conservation districts work with NRCS and other partners in trying to implement this nutrient loss reduction strategy. And when our efforts are hampered by the lack of resources, both for CSP and EQIP, but also for the technical staff, the NRCS technical staff to help farmers actually implement these programs. So what I'd hope for you to consider is that, we have some very good programs out there, but we actually need those people to get them done, and we need to support these voluntary efforts
generation farmer and beef producer of my family farm someday, but I also come today to represent Pheasants and Quail Forever, who's also done so much for my family farm and local area. Roughly 10 years ago, 13 years ago, my grandpa walked into a USDA office and signed up a portion of his farm into CRP. And it took roughly 10 years to decide that his grandson would have a passion for wildlife, a passion for agriculture, but by his opportunity of being able to go into the USDA office and sign up a portion of his farm, he's created a passion and a legacy for me and his land going forward. I hope that you'll consider an increase in the acre cap of CRP back to 40 million acres. There's more opportunities of young men and women out there just like me who want to have the opportunity to become a hunter, to become an outdoorsman, and to tie it back into their local, to their home farm, their family farm. Also through this, we've become accustomed to other programs. Conservation is a common conversation in our family. We signed up for the Illinois Recreational Access Program on our home farm, where we now allow youth hunters to come in exchange for habitat enhancements on our home farm, introducing the next generation of hunters and outdoorsmen. And we having so much public or so much private land here in Illinois, those dollars through VPA and HIP are so important for us to be able to have more access here and incentivize private landowners to do so. I appreciate your consideration and thank you for what you're doing for conservation.
Thank you, Ross. Would Matt Hanauer, Macon County Soil Conservation District, come forward? Next is Timothy Birch, Professional Surveyors. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Timothy Birch. I want to say right here and now, I am not a farmer, and I'm a professional land surveyor, currently living outside the state of Chicago, formerly from Central Illinois, spent most of my life in Central Illinois, so, and my family, on my mother's side, farmed for years in Rodney's district, Christian and Shelby counties. I'm currently the Secretary of the National Society of Professional Surveyors, and I'm also currently the Government Affairs Chair for the Illinois Professional Land Surveyors. What I'm here to ask the committee is to, not necessarily for the Farm Bill, but for support for another program that's being introduced. A wide variety of my surveying experience has been in the farming community. So I've seen what mapping does, and the antiquated mapping that we have currently nationwide, and we're seeing some of that mapping that's really coming into play in Texas right now. And it's not always just along a river, it can be anywhere. So there's a program coming out through the USGS and the NRCS right now. It's a collaboration. It's called 3DEP, 3D Elevation Program. And what it is, it's going to be a nationwide program with newer technology, with LiDAR, to collect elevation data nationwide, to update all the mapping elevation-wide across this country. That includes FEMA. That includes any national planning that needs to be done. There's major benefactors, also include the farming community. There's over 600 applications for this updated mapping that we need to consider. It's estimated that there's going to be a 5-to-1 return on that investment by flying all of this, getting this done. We need to have that updated mapping. This is going to be a key component moving forward with precision ag. Everybody's going to auto steer, everything's being data collected. That precision base map is critical. So I will leave some cut sheets for each state for that USGS has produced, and we would ask that the Agriculture Committee consider supporting this moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Would Stephanie Wise come forward? Next is Carol Hayes, Prairie Rivers Network.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, thank you for being here today. My name is Carol Hayes. I'm Executive Director of Prairie Rivers Network. We're Illinois' advocate for clean water, healthy rivers and wildlife, and the independent state affiliate of the National Wildlife Federation. Prairie Rivers Network is a founding partner of Regenerate Illinois and the Idea Farm Network. We're also a stakeholder in the Illinois Nutrient Loss Reduction Strategy. Regenerate Illinois recently formed Illinois-based consortium uniting a regional network of farmers, agroecology researchers, educators, nonprofits, rural and urban farming and food business interests, and community institutions that seek seek to increase locally grown, nutritious food options and revitalize local farming and food economies across Illinois. Regenerative farms combine diverse crop rotations and regenerate pastured livestock to improve soil health, protect water quality, ensure safe environments for people, and adequate habitat for wildlife, while providing nourishing food for the communities and for growing regional demand for locally grown foods. Regenerate Illinois brings together a growing network of farmers who are eager to learn how to effectively expand the diversity of crops they grow and can make available to new food markets. Our principles for the Farm Bill include encouraging an integrated approach to farming that balances the needs of production with the needs of nature, making effective conservation an outcome in farming systems. Incentivizing farming practices that are healthy for land and animals, sequester carbon, and protect air and water by integrating livestock with a mix of annual and perennial food crops so that farmers can make a good living while protecting the environment and benefiting communities. We ask that you consider making the crop insurance program more efficient and performance-based. We would like to see whole farm revenue policy program expanded in order to allow farmers more ability to diversify their crops while managing risk. While the whole farm insurance program allows farmers to grow more crops in a year, it should also account for planting diverse crop rotations with known ecosystem benefits, such as conservation cropping systems, regenerative integrated grazing systems, continuous living cover practices, and the transition from annual to perennial cropping systems. The crop insurance RMA should encourage the use of cover crops, including winter hardy annuals and not just a single crop, providing allowances for cover crop seeding and maturation dates, as well as termination strategies that do not increase chemical inputs. We would like to see increased funding for research related to the on-farm and off-farm non-crop effects of large-scale pesticide and herbicide use, which has been dogging both farmers and landowners this spring.
10 seconds, please.
We encourage you to preserve Farm Bill conservation programs, including robust funding for conservation technical assistance. We'd like to see an emphasis on conserving native grasslands and reseeding native prairie grasses and flowers for pollinators and other wildlife. We'd like to see conservation programs performance-based to ensure that public investments go to strategies that provide the greatest benefits at the lowest cost, prioritizing CSP practices to maximize improving soil health, habitat, and water quality. I have other comments that I will submit to the committee. Thank you for your consideration.
Okay, thank you, Carol. Would David Erickson come forward? Next is Matt Hanauer, Macon County Soil and Water Conservation District. Matt?
Hello there. I'd like to speak about water quality being a priority of the offered programs that you guys have. The Clean Water Act, Section 319 amendment made in 1987, leads the water quality to a watershed approach, which has really been very successful throughout the years, and it really focuses priority water resources to the concerns that are there for the entire state. And the statewide initiatives, especially in Illinois, is the nutrient loss reduction strategy, which lists nitrogen and phosphorus as our priority concerns. In 2 years of this strategy, we've seen significant increases in adoption of the best management practices and real improvements through collaborative efforts. The agriculture sector in Illinois has invested $54 million into nutrient loss reduction research for water quality, and wastewater treatment facilities have spent $145 million on feasibility and optimization studies. That's nearly $200 million for water quality through outside sources. The Illinois EPA has $3.5 million annually for 319 funds that really focuses these efforts. SWCDs, including Macon County, are the bridge from the government to the landowners and operators. For example, Macon County in 2016 spent $250,000 putting cost share or to get BMPs on the ground, and nearly $200,000 of that was through 319 funds. And these water quality funds are having a great impact on the national, state, and local levels. And these funds conservation, they employ conservation-minded people, and they show the importance of conservation to the federal government, which leads to other investments like the $200 million in Illinois. If we veer from the water quality as a priority, I fear that a lot of these the progress that we've made will go away, and the work that we've done will start to fade. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Matt. Matt's office is just here on campus, just across the parking lot. Would Michael Bays with Farmland Trust come forward? And next is Stephanie Wise. Stephanie?
Good morning. My name is Stephanie Wise. I'm the 5th generation of my family to farm in Bureau and Henry counties in north central Illinois. We grow corn, soybeans, and popcorn, and my family also operates businesses that provide farm inputs and custom farming services to other farmers in our area. I am very proud of the contribution that ag makes to our economy, and I'm passionate about sustaining that contribution and that opportunity for future generations. So it's also my honor to serve as an elected member to the board of directors of Compeer Financial. Compeer is a member-owned cooperative that's part of the farm credit system. We provide loans, leases, risk management, and financial services to individuals and borrowers throughout 144 counties in Illinois, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. I have 3 things that I'd like to share with you for which your support is needed. First, passage of a strong farm bill within the next year is essential. As you're aware, we're in the midst of, for a large portion of our industry, a multi-year downturn. So that is a very clear and present reminder of the need for a safety net against a sustained downturn. Second, there are some key tools that must be maintained and made adequate for their intended purpose. Of course, there's the federal crop insurance program, along with the agricultural risk coverage and price loss coverage programs that should be maintained and improved. Another important tool is USDA's Farm Service Agency direct and guaranteed loan programs. The guaranteed loan program gives flexibility to lenders like Compeer in working with our clients. That flexibility is particularly important in working with young, beginning, and small farmers to help them get into the business, as well as existing businesses to help them expand and sustain themselves during a downturn. So you're also aware that the cost of crop inputs, land, and equipment have increased significantly over the last several years. So we would support seeing an increase not only to the guaranteed loan limits, but also to the funding for the guaranteed as well as direct loan programs to better enable Compeer and other lenders to partner with USDA to serve the needs of the users of the programs given their current economic circumstances.
10 seconds.
Third and last, I'd like to speak about rural development, specifically community facilities programs and USDA's very successful community facility program. Sparing the details, right now it's challenging given the FCA's procedures. They're slow and burdensome for promoting and facilitating partnerships between farm credits like Compeer, community banks, and USDA in promoting investments in vital projects for rural communities like nursing homes and hospitals. So we'd ask that you instruct FCA to provide more programmatic and efficient approach to approving those investment partnerships. Thank you. We look forward to working with you on the next Farm Bill.
Thank you, Stephanie. Would Neil Merchant, U of I, come forward? Our next speaker, Darren, I knew his next speaker's wife in college, and I was kind of sweet on her a little bit, you know. But as you can tell, she preferred tall, dark, and handsome. David Erickson, Illinois Farm Bureau. Welcome, David.
She couldn't find that either, so she got me. Thank you. Good morning. I'm David Erickson from Altona, Illinois. My wife Nancy and I farm corn and soybeans in Knox and Henry counties in the 17th Congressional District and just a stone's throw away from the 18th Congressional District. I also serve as Vice President of the Illinois Farm Bureau. And earlier this year, we had the opportunity to have about 15 working sessions with our members working on Farm Bill, aspects of the Farm Bill that they thought were important and some that they thought perhaps could be improved. One of those areas, given today's current commodity prices and need for additional operating capital, was the commodity marketing loan program. And they came up with 3 ways that we think we could enhance that program those loan rates to a more reasonable cost of current price of those commodities, maybe in the 80 to 85% range of a 5-year average. There'd be more meaningful dollars available for those loans, again, for operating capital in these tight times. Secondly, if we could provide some additional incentive on interest rates that would encourage producers to use conservation practices that they're not already currently doing, it could help that green aspect of the Farm Bill through lower loan rates, interest rates, but without increasing the cost of the program. And thirdly, it's a way that we could provide additional incentives for beginning farmers, perhaps again a lower interest rate for those beginning farmers to help them get the needed capital, get their feet on the ground in these times. So we like to refer to it as the 3-in-1 marketing loan, something that's a little bit closer tied to the current prices, something that provides
that knowledge that we create to create value and new technology, like we see at the Farm Progress Show. Let's think about what it would mean if we saw the application, or we saw an increase in our ability to capture solar energy through photosynthesis in plants of 10 to 15%. That's the goal of research that's going on at the University of Illinois, funded through the Gates Foundation right now. What would it mean if we thought about making more and more of our chemicals that we use every day from polymers
farm research where we can be demonstrating, how biomass crops can fit in, perennial biomass crops can fit into a farm operation, reduce nutrient losses, improve soil health, provide wildlife habitat, reduce nitrous oxide emissions from farmland, and that sort of thing. My organization, we're a small nonprofit. We are right here on the Richland campus, but we're a part of a consortium called Greenland's Blue Waters that includes land-grant universities from the upper Midwestern states and nonprofits throughout the upper Midwest. And Greenland's Blue Waters has kind of a vision of a significant increase, once again, over a period of decades in perennial crops on the landscape. Greenland's Blue Waters theory of change for how this is going to happen is to be working with farmers, with industry, and with policymakers to expand uses and markets and enterprises that use the products of perennialized agriculture. With regard to the Farm Bill, I just quickly mentioned that we would support continued funding of the BCAP, Biomass Crop Assistance Program. We would like to see that be able to be used more for basically small to medium-sized thermal energy products or projects that can support on-farm demonstration of perennial biomass crops. I just want to wrap up by saying that we have perennial crop plots at the north end of the Farm Progress Show site. If any of you or if any in attendance have the opportunity, we'd love to talk to you in more depth about this. We're at 12th Street at the far north end of the site. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. Would Earl Williams please come forward? Next is Doug Hanson, Illinois CAE Chair.
My name is Doug Hanson. I live in Iroquois County, where my wife and I have two daughters that, if they choose to, will be fifth-generation agricultural opportunities on both sides, my wife's as well as mine. I am here as the ILK Chair, which is the Illinois Leadership Council for Agriculture Education, which is a committee that has been together for over 30 years. That includes 30-plus members of the agribusiness industry in Illinois, as well as educators at all levels of agriculture education. We follow a plan that is utilized to move agriculture education forward and to address those issues that need to be addressed. I am actually here today to give word from one of our agriculture teachers in Illinois who is doing his job today, so he's not able to come and express this message. His name is Jesse Faber. He's a decorated agriculture teacher from Pontiac High School, a very successful two-teacher agriculture program in Illinois. But Jesse is today still facing the same issue that has plagued agriculture education for decades. And I want to give just a little bit more foundation on my own. I am a grain farmer. I am a beef producer. I work for a seed company, an independent seed company out of Illinois, Pro Harvest Seeds out of Iroquois County. And myself, my wife, the owners of that company, the people who work for that company, most all have agriculture high school education experience. So it's something that we have all found valued, and it's something we look for in our employees. So Jesse had a student come to him as a junior this year in high school, first-time agriculture student, who was a decorated 4-H member in their community. But when they sat down and did his plan for college, he knew that he had certain college entrance requirements to go to the university in Illinois, and was not able to take ag as a freshman or sophomore. So these are Jesse's words. As an agriculture educator, I am focused on addressing the agriculture workforce shortage, specifically the shortage of college graduates. With this in mind, and with the start of the school year, one of my greatest frustrations is students who want to be in agriculture courses, but his or her schedule is filled by fine arts courses needed for admission to college. When these students are lost from high school agriculture programs, we lose the connection to recruit them into our outstanding industry. As I look at USDA programs that provide resources and partnerships to institutions of higher education, I encourage the use of these relationships to promote the consideration of agriculture education to meet requirements for the admissions process.
Doug,
So-
10 seconds.
So we have funding that goes both to the universities, goes to high school education, that's developing quality individuals, but there is a gap that is not letting these individuals get accepted to the universities at entrance levels. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. And would Sarah with Land Connection please come forward? Next is Doug Wilson for the committee's benefit. Doug was the Illinois Director for USDA Rural Development. Doug, welcome.
Former director.
Former Director, yes.
And I'm here today as Doug Wilson, corn and soybean farmer from north central Illinois. I'd like to make just a few comments about the Chairman Conway. You asked about all the different farm bills, or all the different titles within. My notes account to this, so we'll hope I can make some good sense for you all. Good morning to you. I've had the opportunity, in addition to farming, to serve on a variety of boards and organizations over the years, and my guess would be, if I asked the room, probably well over half the room has served on township board, county board, school boards, hospital boards, fire and ambulance districts, and so producers in Illinois and across the nation, I think, do give back to the elements within that. And it doesn't just stop with rural development into the community projects and things that I mentioned. It also goes into business, as I'm sure all of you know. In our state, rail loops, elevators, anaerobic digesters in the area, in the other parts, ethanol is something that has been involved in that as well. And we're talking real money when we come down to this, when it goes into communities and areas of 50,000 and less. And states like Texas, North Carolina, and Michigan are successful in bringing back over $1 billion a year for their rural areas. I think it's important to remember the overall health of the rural communities, not only the farms and the other elements, because I still am a farmer. I'm getting my combine ready to go. But there are other elements that help to the overall economic well-being of a state and a community. And really, when it comes down to it, rural development is about economics, it's about health, and it's about safety. And I encourage you to pay a little attention to that title of the Farm Bill, too. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Would Jennifer Caffrey from U of I come forward? Next, Earl Williams, Illinois Farm Bureau. Hello, Earl.
Do three Williams in a crowd give you a win?
I'm sorry.
I mean, third Williams, is that automatically a win?
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway.
The same Williams family.
Okay. My name's Earl Williams. I farm up in Winnebago County. I'm also on the board of directors of the Illinois Farm Bureau. And first, I'd like to thank past ag committees for the programs such as CSP, which I have used in our family operation to convert from the techniques my grandfather and father used to plow and control the weeds that way to 100% no-till. But as I look forward, I realize that we as farmers are going to have to make a lot of changes on how we, grow our crops in order to meet some of the needs of the nutrient reduction strategies to reduce the amount of nitrogen and phosphorus that go down Mississippi. So the program like the CSP, which I strongly urge that you can continue to support, is very important for allowing farmers to make that transition. It covers some of the risk in learning how to farm differently than what we did over the past, and gives us some of the tools and support needed to make that transition so that we can benefit our environment, which benefits the environment of the whole country. So with that, I thank you.
Thank you, Earl. Sarah, I hesitated to pronounce your last name, so will you please pronounce it for me?
Simzian.
Simzian. Welcome.
Okay, thank you very much. So my name is Sarah Simzian. I grew up in Pontiac, but I've lived in Champaign for the past 10 years, where I am the Farmers Market and Food Access Manager for the Land Connection. There are two key issues for the Farm Bill I'd like to talk to you about. One is the importance of the Farmers Market Promotion Program, FMPP, and the critical importance of SNAP and food assistance programs like FEME at farmers markets. So 2 years ago, I helped launch a midweek farmers market in Champaign in Congressman Davis's district, and last year we received an FMPP grant to support our 2017 and 2018 seasons. This grant has made a world of difference purchases with local radio, print, billboard, and online outlets, who in turn matched or sometimes even tripled as in-kind donations what we had purchased, which really allowed us to amplify the funds we received from the program and expand our purchasing power. We've been able to also purchase equipment for cooking demonstrations and a sampling tent at our market, where we've been able to introduce local shoppers to new produce that's grown locally, helps teach children about fruits and vegetables, get kids hooked on things like kohlrabi and radishes, which you wouldn't necessarily, or you wouldn't believe happens, and directly boost sales for our farmers. As a result of this grant, this season, our sales are up 40% over last year. Our farmers are happy, and we're pumping tens of thousands of dollars into the local economy, all while making this a regular food shopping destination for thousands of Champaign residents. One of the cornerstones of our success has been our SNAP incentive program, which was made possible by the Link Up Illinois program, originally funded out of a Feeney grant. So we offer SNAP benefits that has so far generated over $10,000 worth of sales, and our season is only 2/3 of the way through. So not only are we expanding access and food budgets for struggling families, but we're putting a lot of money directly into the pockets of our local farmers, and in turn this is really benefiting our local economy, which is kind of what food stamps were designed to do in the first place when they were originally developed. So we urge you to continue support for these really critical programs. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Would Gordon Clark and Kelly Hirsch come forward? Next is Assistant Dean at U of I, Jennifer Caffrey.
I'm Jennifer McCaffrey. I direct the SNAP education program and research food access and food insecurity at the University of Illinois. We know that SNAP works. The hearings conducted over the past year show that when families fall on hard times, SNAP is the stopgap needed to help them get back on their feet. We know firsthand in Illinois, where nearly 2 million residents rely on SNAP, that it lowers food insecurity by 30%. With more than half of the SNAP recipients being children, alleviating hunger is critical for growth and development of the future workforce. When SNAP is combined with SNAP education, we see families accessing more fresh produce, children eat and encourage parents to select healthier foods, and we ensure that families are spending SNAP benefits more effectively. We work with schools and community partners to ensure that the environments where our families live are enabling healthier choices. This generates not only better nutrition, but also sustainable community solutions that support health. SNAP and SNAP education benefit local and national economies, as well as the agriculture industry. USDA research shows that for every $1 billion spent through SNAP, generates $340 million in farm production and over 3,000 farm jobs. That is why the farm and nutrition components of the Farm Bill make sense. The entire economic system supported in the Farm Bill is critical for supporting the well-being of families. At the University of Illinois, we efficiently and effectively leverage the dollars such as those authorized in the Farm Bill to generate the solutions for the residents of Illinois. These examples highlight how research, extension, and the targeted funds like SNAP education produce benefits for families facing food insecurity. We know that tough financial times require new ways of thinking and maximizing efficiencies. That is why at the University of Illinois, we are exploring innovative methods for the next century in an initiative called Extension 3.0. We believe we are on the path of carving out new models. We look forward to working with you to share our success and efforts that demonstrate the results. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Would Sarah Moore come forward? Gordon Clark? Gordon's from Texas. Chairman, you know Gordon Clark, Dumas, Texas? We'll pass that down to you, Chairman. You can call him later on. Kelly Hurst, Central Illinois Food Bank.
Thank you. My name is Kelly Hurst, and I'm representing the Central Illinois
daughter with me on to college for some seriously uncertain times. I was not sure if I was going to finish. I was not sure how we were going to eat. I was not at all certain how I was going to raise this child by myself. However, when I got to Eastern Illinois University and found a community of people who were willing to help me, I found myself in a situation where I could use those SNAP benefits. And I found food banks that were willing to help me. And lo and behold, I came to find out that, you know, when you're raising children, it actually helps to feed them very healthy foods. And I finished that college degree within 4 years and became a teacher. I went on to get another college degree and became an administrator in schools where I could continue to take the things that I learned about being a single parent on those benefits and also about healthy eating. I found myself being the assistant principal who kept the fresh fruits and vegetables in her office for those students that I knew hadn't eaten a meal the night before or who could not possibly think about going into a math classroom without having anything in their stomach for the day. I'm just simply here to say I appreciate that you've given us this opportunity, and while I'm not a farmer and I'm not a food banker, I'm just a face. If I were a better face, I'd have been, I think, earlier on in speaking today. I'm sorry about that, but this is the one I've got. I'm going to keep it. And I just want you to remember that as you are making considerations for SNAP benefits, and that people are not, you know, who they seem to be in that moment. And I'm certainly grateful that I had the opportunity to use them, that I had the opportunity to raise my daughter in a healthy situation, who has now given me my first grandchild. And I just appreciate being able to have shown her exactly what it is that our nation is capable of doing when we care about our neighbors and when we feed them. Thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing your personal testimony. Would Aaron Carlson and Jason Probst come forward? Next is Sarah Moore, Animal Protective League.
Yes, hello. My name is Sarah Moore. I work at the Animal Protective League, which is in Springfield. Representative Davis, I'm a constituent. Animal welfare is important to me, especially for cats and dogs. So I hope that you will work to strengthen measures to protect our pets when drafting the Farm Bill. Specifically, I want to talk about the Dog and Cat Meat Trade Prohibition Act, or H.R. 1406. It was referred to the Agriculture Committee, and it amends the Animal Welfare Act to prohibit the domestic slaughter, trade, and import and export of dog and cats for human consumption. It establishes penalties for individuals involved in the dog and cat meat trade and prevents the dog and cat meat trade from taking hold in the U.S., while also strengthening our country's standing for press for reform worldwide. So, Representative Davis, you are a co-sponsor of that legislation, and I just want to thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Would Randy DeSutter come forward? Next is Aaron Carlson, Illinois Corn Growers Vice President.
Well, I'm not Aaron Carlson. Aaron had to leave. So I'm Kenneth Hartman from Southern Illinois in Mike's district, and current member of the Illinois Corn Growers, and also current chairman of the National Corn Growers Market Access Action Team. So I know you have already heard a great deal about the continued need for strong safety nets in the next Farm Bill. Commodity programs and crop insurance are essential, but I believe expanding our markets is the best way for farmers to mitigate risk and create more opportunity. Trade is becoming increasingly important to corn farmers since we export upwards of 20% of our crop, and if you consider corn in all forms, corn, feed, DDGs, ethanol, and livestock, and since exports accounts for more than 30% of our income, in fact, trade was Illinois' second priority this year, second to only the federal crop insurance. Two programs critical for developing global markets for U.S. agriculture exports include corn and corn products, are the USDA's Market Access Program, or MAP, and the Foreign Market Development Program, FMD. It is estimated that these two programs alone account for more than 15% of our revenue generated in the U.S. ag exports. In fact, FMD and MAP funding leverage private sector's investments to create markets for our ag exports, with 70% of overall investments coming from the private sector. Without MAP and FMD export market for U.S. corn. The U.S. Grains Council investment of $35,000 of MAP funding in its customer service and market programs in 2015 increased produced purchases by $53 million for a return on investment of $1,500 for every dollar of MAP funding invested. Unfortunately, due to the inflation, sequestration, higher administration costs, and more commodity competing for the same dollars, MAP and FMD funding is being stretched thin. In fact, while U.S. funding levels for exports promotion programs have remained static in recent years, our global competitors are outspending us. We have heard about the budget constraints around the Farm Bill, but agriculture economy is too fragile to tell ourselves no on trade. This needs to be a priority. I want to urge you to increase funding for MAP and FMD funding to help ensure we farmers can continue to compete in the world market. Thank you.
Thank you, Kenneth. Steve Turner, the Cass Morgan Farm Bureau, come forward. Next, Jason Probst, Illinois Pork Producers. Jason.
Thank you, Dwayne. So as I said, I'm Jason Probst with Illinois Pork Producers. I reside down by Neoga, Illinois, southeast of here. First thing I would like to clarify, the ask on the foot and mouth disease is actually $150 million a year for each of the 5 years of the Farm Bill from that standpoint. 3 weeks ago, we had the opportunity when Secretary Perdue was here. We talked about it, brought those numbers up to him. He quickly said we needed to do more with less and said $25 million is a great number to be looking at. I come to you guys because I know you guys write the Farm Bill. He just implements it. So the thing we look at is the $150 million a year that we talked about is very steadfast numbers. It's based on looking at numbers done by Iowa State University. And the other fact is from the National Pork Producers Council, when we put numbers together, as you guys have seen, we come with the numbers at hand. We don't come with wild numbers. We come directly with the numbers at hand. The reason we look at this $150 million a year is we know what it does to our rural economies and the ripple effect it has in the U.S. From the livestock industry, we export about 25% of our livestock products throughout the world. So if a foot and mouth disease outbreak happens, 25% of our production goes away immediately because the world will not take our product. There's nothing wrong with it nutritionally, but just from a trade standpoint, they will not take it. So with that, we have to basically 25% of producers go away, which means we lose 25% of our U.S. workforce. In turn, it has a ripple effect that we lose our feed companies, we lose our veterinarians, we lose a ripple effect throughout there. And ultimately, it comes back to our crop farmers. The livestock industry is the #1 consumer of U.S. grains. And so with that, we're going to lose 25% of our farmers. So it has a ripple effect down there. So as the livestock industry, we come, not very often do we come to the Farm Bill asking for things. But we come as we look as a very good security process, insurance process to allow our livestock industry to continue to grow, but in turn allow our U.S. economy to continue to grow with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Would Dennis Worth come forward? And for the committee's benefit, several counties claim supremacy in agriculture in the state. One is Knox. And you might remember the name John Block. John Block hailed from Knox County. The Sutter family are also from Knox County. And Randy, we're glad to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Randy DeSutter. I'm a corn and soybean farmer from Woodhull, Illinois. And I guess you'd have to consider me bipartisan because I voted for Sherry Bustos as my congressman, and Darrell LaHood used to be my state senator. so that's kind of neat. I guess today I represent all the farmers in the United States that would like to be in the farm program and use it as a safety net, but can't get in because we don't have a base on some of our farms. Through no fault of my own, I have a farm. I can't get into the farm program because it doesn't have a base. The previous owner didn't like farm programs, so he didn't go in and certify his acres. There has not been a provision to add base since 2002, so I can't get in. Farms that used to have livestock also have a similar program. They probably grew a crop like hay that's a non-program crop. Now they're out of livestock, they can't get that portion of their farm in. Because of situations like these, we need a provision to both add and update bases in the next farm bill. As I said, it's not been done since 2002. We've seen a lot of changes in farming since 2002. We've got a new generation of farmers, new seeds, and economics have changed where and what crops are grown in this great country. In addition, there will be environmental proposal to add and update bases based on what has been planted the last 4 years. Senator Thune's plan would solve my problem and provide a safety net that helps to more accurately reflect what is grown in this great country. Who do you think should make the decision on my farm on whether to sign up for the farm program? Me or the previous owner that's been dead for 20 years? Are you going to write a farm bill with bases that are 20 years old? Or are you going to write a farm bill for the farmers of 2000